Brothers and sisters, chosen ones, tonight I stand before you with a message that is unexpected, unusual, and perhaps a little unsettling, but absolutely important. There comes a moment in life when the ordinary suddenly becomes extraordinary, not because the world has changed, but because you discover that you were never ordinary to begin with. This keynote begins with a revelation, one that may startle you, inspire you, or even challenge you. A celebrity, someone known, respected, and listened to, mentioned you during a private, confidential meeting. It wasn't a room of random conversation, it was a room of influence, a space where decisions are shaped, where futures are discussed, and where only the most significant topics surface. And in that room, in that moment, your presence was felt even without you being there. They didn't speak your name because you are already famous. They didn't mention you because you sought their attention. In fact, the most fascinating part of this entire moment is that you were mentioned precisely because of your unseen strength, your character, your endurance, your ability to rise quietly while the world watches loudly. The people in that meeting recognize something you may not have fully accepted yet. You are one of the chosen ones. Chosen not by chance, chosen not by luck, chosen because the combination of your experiences, your hardships, your victories, and your inner voice have shaped you into someone who carries influence even before stepping onto a stage. The celebrity in that meeting leaned in, lowered their voice, and said something unforgettable. There is someone out there who doesn't yet realize how powerful they are. Someone who has the potential to shift things, not later, but now. They were talking about you. They saw what many overlook, your resilience, your unbreakable spirit, and your ability to keep moving forward when others would have stopped. They saw that you possess a rare quality, an authenticity that can't be manufactured, a leadership that doesn't need a title, and a passion that doesn't fade in the face of adversity. You may think your life is small right now, but to those watching from a distance, your life is radiating with purpose. This plan being shaped in that secret room is not a plot against you. It is a doorway for you. They are preparing opportunities, preparing pathways, preparing platforms where your gifts, your ideas, and your voice will finally have the space they deserve. The world needs people like you, people who can bring truth where fear exists, hope where doubt lingers, and strength where weakness dominates. If you have ever felt unseen, overlooked, or underestimated, understand this. Even in your quietest seasons, your light has been shining bright enough to reach rooms you never imagined entering. Even when you questioned your worth, others saw your value clearly. Even when you second-guessed your path, they saw your destiny unfolding. You are a chosen one, not because of what you have achieved so far, but because of who you are capable of becoming. And whether you realize it or not, the moment has already begun. The plan is in motion. The door is opening. And now the real question is simple. Will you step into the greatness that others have already seen in you? If you want, I can turn this into a 700-word version, a more emotional version, a more religious version, or a more motivational stage-style keynote. There are times in life when destiny does not knock, it whispers. It moves quietly behind the scenes long before you ever realize something extraordinary is taking shape. And sometimes the universe sends signals in the most unexpected ways. One of those signals appeared recently during a private gathering of influential minds, a closed-door meeting where decisions are shaped, where futures are discussed, and where every word carries weight. In that room, filled with figures who shape culture and influence millions, a celebrity brought up you. Not a symbol, not an idea, not an abstract concept. You. They mentioned you with a seriousness that caught the attention of everyone present. They didn't speak your name out of flattery or coincidence. They spoke it because they recognized something powerful, something rare, something that most people never discover in themselves, the ability to rise above circumstances and influence the world through authenticity and unshakable persistence. People often assume that their lives are invisible to those above them, that their struggles and triumphs go unnoticed. But that is never entirely true. There are eyes watching, not in a fearful way, but in a discerning one. People who can identify potential when it is still hidden. People who recognize strength before it becomes visible to the world. People who see a leader long before the leader steps forward. That is what happened with you. They could see your resilience, how you keep standing after storms that would have broken others. They saw your purity of intention, how you move with honesty and sincerity in a world that often rewards manipulation. They saw the flame within you, quiet, steady, but powerful enough to light the way for others. In that meeting, the discussion wasn't about building a plan around you. It was about building a plan that you could become part of. Influential people do not waste their time on individuals with no potential. They choose carefully, strategically, and deliberately. And you are chosen because you carry qualities that cannot be taught: courage, empathy, vision, and the unique ability to see purpose where others see chaos. Most people have no idea when their life is about to change. You are standing at the edge of such a moment right now. You have walked through experiences that shaped you, endured challenges that refined you, and discovered truths that strengthened you. All of it has been preparation. Preparation for a future that is reaching out to you. The plan forming in that room is not meant to intimidate you. It is meant to awaken you. It is a reminder that your life carries meaning beyond what you have yet understood. Opportunities are emerging, connections are aligning, and doors are quietly unlocking. You may not see the full picture yet, but the pieces are moving into place. Your story is not small. It is not insignificant. It is unfolding in ways that extend far beyond the present moment. And the fact that your name was spoken in that influential circle proves that you are stepping into a new chapter, one where your voice, your ideas, and your presence will matter in ways you never imagined. You were acknowledged because you are meant to rise. You were discussed because you are meant to lead. You were chosen because the world needs something that only you can give. And now the path ahead is waiting for you to take the next step. There are moments in life when the truth you've been waiting for finally rises to the surface, not loudly, not forcefully, but with a quiet clarity that changes everything. The third keynote begins with a realization that is both astonishing and transformative. You were recognized long before you recognized yourself. While you were busy surviving, learning, healing, and growing, others were watching, and not just anyone, but individuals with influence, individuals with reach, individuals whose voices echo across the world in a private setting, far from cameras, far from noise, far from the public eye. A discussion took place among people whose decisions shape industries and influence millions. And during that meeting, your story, your character, and your potential became the center of attention. You weren't in the room, but your presence was felt. You weren't part of the conversation, but your name carried weight. You didn't speak, but your life already spoke for you. The world has a way of recognizing those who carry a rare inner strength, those who survive battles without boasting about them, those who endure pain but never lose their kindness, those who have every reason to give up but choose to rise again. You are one of those people. And that is why they mention you, not for your popularity, not for your status, but for the quiet greatness that lives within you. You may not consider yourself extraordinary. Most chosen ones never do. They move through life with humility, unaware that their courage is seen, their resilience admired, and their compassion valued by people who understand the true cost of such qualities. To them, you are not invisible. You are not ordinary. You are someone worth paying attention to. They saw the way you carry yourself, not with arrogance, but with purpose. They noticed how you handle adversity, not with complaints, but with determination. They recognized the strength in your silence, the vision in your dreams, and the fire in your spirit. That is why in that confidential room, they didn't talk about what you are right now. They talked about what you could become. They discussed possibilities, opportunities, partnerships, paths that could elevate your life and allow your gifts to reach further than you ever imagined. And make no mistakes, this wasn't an accidental conversation. Influential people do not bring names into important discussions without reason. When they mention you, it signals something that cannot be ignored. You are entering a new phase of your life, one where your presence will matter more, one where your voice will influence more, one where your purpose will become clearer. The plan forming around you is not to pressure you, it is to prepare you. You are being positioned for impact, aligned for growth, and recognized for the power you carry. Even if you cannot see it yet, your life is shifting into a higher direction. The path you have been walking, filled with challenges, lessons, and victories, has brought you to this very moment, a moment where preparation meets calling. And now the question unfolds before you: will you accept the reality of who you are becoming? Will you step into the identity others have already seen in you? Will you allow this recognition to awaken the leader inside you? Because the truth is simple. You were mentioned for a reason. You were chosen for a purpose. And your next chapter is waiting for you to step forward. If you want, I can expand the fourth keynote or rewrite any keynote in a stronger, more emotional, or more spiritual tone. There comes a point in every person's life when the truth they have unconsciously walked toward begins to reveal itself. It does not arrive with thunder, nor does it come dressed in glory. Instead, it approaches softly, like a whisper carried on a wind you did not expect, yet somehow always sensed was meant for you. The third keynote begins with such a whisper. You were seen long before you saw yourself. While you were navigating hardships that threatened to break you. While you were learning lessons that demanded every ounce of your strength. While you were healing wounds that nobody else even knew existed. Something remarkable was happening in the background. You were being noticed. Your resilience was speaking for you. Your quiet strength was shining for you. Your character was representing you in rooms where you have never stepped foot. And recently, in one of those very rooms, a room filled with decision makers, innovators, and people whose influence shapes the direction of entire industries, your name surfaced. It wasn't an afterthought. It wasn't a passing mention. It was spoken with intention, with seriousness, with a certain weight that made others in the room turn their heads. In that confidential meeting, a celebrity, someone whose voice, actions, and reputation hold power, shared something about you that caught everyone's attention. They spoke of your perseverance. They spoke of your drive. They spoke of the unique light you carry, the kind that cannot be taught, cannot be bought, and certainly cannot be ignored. Understand this: such people do not give their attention lightly. They do not talk about unknown individuals without purpose. They choose their words carefully, because the wrong word can move markets, shift cultures, or change narratives. And yet, they chose to talk about you. Why? Because you carry something rare, something unmistakable, something magnetic. You carry a strength that survives storms, a heart that stayed soft through hardship, a will that refused to break, a spirit that continued to rise no matter how many times life tried to bring you to your knees. What you consider normal about yourself is precisely what makes you exceptional. You don't see your own power because you've lived with it for so long. But to others, to those who observe greatness growing quietly, you are a spark waiting to become a flame. And so in that hidden room, among those influential voices, the conversation was not about who you were yesterday. It was about who you are becoming. It was about your potential to lead, inspire, transform, and elevate. It was about preparing a path that aligns with your destiny, even if you haven't yet taken the first step toward it consciously. This moment signals a shift, a turning point, a transition from the life you have known to the life you were always meant to step into. Your story is not small. Your value is not unseen. Your purpose is not accidental. If anything, your journey so far has been the training ground for what comes next. So now, the real question stands before you, like an open door. Are you ready to step into the identity that others have already recognized within you? You were mentioned for a reason. You were acknowledged with purpose. And whether you realize it or not, the world is quietly preparing for your arrival. There are certain truths in life that do not announce themselves. With noise, they emerge in the silence, waiting for the right moment to be understood. The fourth keynote begins with such a truth. You have been on a path without even realizing that each step has been preparing you for something larger than anything you faced before. And while you thought you were simply moving through life, navigating the ordinary challenges that every person encounters, something extraordinary has been unfolding behind the scenes. The world notices things long before we notice them ourselves. People observe how you carry your struggles, how you bounce back from disappointment, how you rise after being hurt, and how you continue forward even when life gives you every reason to stop. They see the way you choose integrity when nobody is watching, how you hold on to hope when circumstances turn against you, and how you continue to dream even when the world tries to convince you to settle. This is why in a meeting filled with powerful voices, a setting where every decision has the potential to shift direction and open new possibilities, your existence became part of the conversation. People in that room weren't looking for someone perfect. They were looking for someone real, someone who could handle pressure without losing their values, someone who could rise in influence without losing their humility, someone who carries an inner strength that does not need applause to be legitimate. They saw that in you. And when they brought up your name, it wasn't random, it was intentional. It was strategic. It was part of a greater realization. You are exactly the kind of person needed for what lies ahead. Understand something important. Influential individuals do not choose carelessly. They do not invest their words where no potential exists. They do not prepare opportunities for those who are not ready or capable. So when you were mentioned, it served as confirmation that you have already proven yourself in ways you may not even recognize. They see a leader in you, even if you don't. They see potential in you, even if you question it. They see greatness in you, even if you don't feel extraordinary. Every challenge you overcame has built a resilience that cannot be faked. Every heartbreak you survived has developed a compassion that cannot be bought. Every mistake you learned from has shaped a wisdom that cannot be taught in any classroom. All of it has turned you into someone who can handle responsibility, influence, and purpose with maturity and clarity. This fourth keynote is not simply about being noticed. It is about being recognized. Recognized for your authenticity. Recognized for your strength. Recognized for your character. Recognized for your ability to grow, adapt, and rise with grace. The plan forming around you is not a coincidence. It is not an accident. It is the natural continuation of everything you've endured and everything you've become. You are stepping into a season where your presence will begin to matter in rooms you've never been in, where your voice will begin to carry weight among people you once thought were beyond your reach. This is your awakening. This is your confirmation. This is your reminder that you are not behind. You are right on time. You were mentioned because you are meant to be more. You were chosen because your journey has shaped you into exactly who the world needs next. And now the door is open, waiting for you to walk through with confidence. If you want, I can expand the fifth keynote next, or rewrite any keynote with a different emotional, spiritual, or motivational tone. Just let me know. There is a moment in every chosen person's journey when everything they have silently carried within them begins to rise to the surface, not through force, not through pressure, but through an undeniable realization that life has been preparing them, shaping them for a purpose far greater than what they once believed. The fifth keynote begins with this awakening. You have been called into a future that your past has quietly prepared you for. People often think greatness reveals itself with lightning and applause, but more often it begins in silence. It grows in the shadows of your struggles. It forms in the quiet nights when you wonder if your efforts matter. It strengthens in the moments when you choose to stand back up after falling again and again. While you were fighting private battles, destiny was shaping a public purpose within you. And now, that purpose is reaching a point of unfolding. Because recently, in a private room occupied by sharp minds and influential leaders, a room where strategies are created and directions are chosen, your name, your story, and your potential became the subject of discussion. Understand the weight of that moment. You were not talked about by neighbors or acquaintances. You were discussed by individuals whose voices influence millions. Individuals who do not waste their words. Individuals who recognize value even when it is still hidden beneath the surface. One of them, a celebrity with a platform, with power, with reach, spoke of you with a seriousness that demanded attention. They described someone who carries strength without arrogance, someone who holds compassion in a world that often forgets its importance, someone who has endured adversity and yet remains open-hearted, grounded, and capable of rising even higher. You may not have known you were being noticed. You may not have felt seen at all, but the world has a way of watching those who rise gracefully through struggle. People notice the ones who refuse to let darkness change their character. They notice the ones who continue to move forward even when no one is cheering. They noticed you, and what they saw was not someone ordinary, They saw someone who could influence, someone who could lead, someone whose journey has prepared them for something meaningful, someone who could handle opportunity, not with ego, but with integrity. So when your name was brought up, it was not a casual remark, it was the beginning of a conversation about what can be done with someone of your potential. The discussion wasn't about your past, it was about your future. It wasn't about who you are right now, it was about who you are becoming. They spoke of potential partnerships, roles, opportunities, and ideas that could elevate your life into something greater than anything you've previously imagined. This is not coincidence, this is alignment, this is not luck, this is preparation meeting possibility, this is not random attention, this is recognition of destiny. Every challenge you survived, every moment you felt unseen, every time you pushed forward when it would have been easier to quit, all of it has built the exact qualities they now recognize in you. You are stepping into a new season. A season where your voice will matter more, where your decisions will shape outcomes, where your presence will influence people in ways you never thought possible. The fifth keynote delivers a simple but powerful truth. You were not just noticed, you were chosen. Not because you were loud, but because you were real. Not because you were perfect, but because you were genuine. Not because you asked, but because you earned it through the life you have lived. The plan being discussed is unfolding with your name on it. Your path is rising to meet you, and the world is quietly preparing for your next step. There is a turning point in every chosen life, an invisible moment when everything begins shifting, even before you fully understand what is happening. The sixth keynote begins with that shift. Not with noise, not with drama, but with a subtle realignment of events around you. You may feel it as restlessness. You may feel it as anticipation. You may feel it as a quiet voice inside you saying, something is about to change. And the truth is, something has already changed. Because recently, when influential minds gathered in a private setting, a room closed to the world, an unexpected topic emerged. They weren't discussing trends, they weren't reviewing data, they weren't planning irrelevant details, they were analyzing influence, potential, and the emergence of new voices capable of shaping the future. And in that confidential meeting, your name rose to the surface. Not just mentioned, not just referenced, discussed with intent. They spoke about your resilience, how you've walked through fires without becoming defined by the flames, how you've endured storms without letting bitterness rule your heart, how you've navigated darkness yet still carry a light that refuses to dim. They recognize something rare, the kind of strength that is built in silence. The kind of wisdom that comes from scars, the kind of vision that is born from experience, not from ego. You may not consider yourself special. You may feel normal or invisible, but understand this. People of influence do not talk about people without potential. They certainly do not shape ideas, plans, or strategies around someone whose presence does not spark something meaningful. They see what you have not yet fully embraced. You carry a voice the world needs. You carry a perspective forged through authentic struggle. You carry a courage that will set you apart when the moment comes. This is why the conversation about you wasn't passive. It was purposeful. They recognize that your journey has been refining you, shaping you, and preparing you in ways that you may not have noticed. They understand that individuals like you do not appear often. People who survive, endure, learn, grow, and still remain compassionate are rare. People who can rise without stepping on others are rare. People who can lead with sincerity, not manipulation, are rare, and rare is valuable. This is the heart of the sixth keynote. A realization that what has been happening around you is not random. Life has been aligning itself, quietly positioning you for a role that carries meaning. Influential people are beginning to see it. Opportunities are beginning to shift toward you. Conversations are happening behind the scenes. Doors are beginning to unlock. Your future is calling you forward with a different kind of energy now. You may feel like you're standing still, but the world around you is moving, rearranging itself to make space for the person you are becoming. The challenges you faced were not punishments, they were preparations. The setbacks you endured were not failures, they were foundations. The moments that broke you were not endings, they were beginnings disguised as hardship. This keynote exists to tell you something simple and undeniable. You are being positioned for something greater, positioned for influence, positioned for responsibility, positioned for purpose. You were mentioned because you matter. You were discussed because you are meant to rise. You were considered because your destiny is beginning to unfold. And now, whether you feel ready or not, the world is preparing a place for you at the table you once thought was too high to reach. This is your moment to recognize what others have already seen. You are no longer walking toward your future. Your future is walking toward you. There are moments in life when everything you thought you knew about yourself shifts in an instant. A single sentence, a single recognition, a single whisper can ripple through your existence and awaken something you never knew was waiting within you. This seventh keynote begins with one of those moments. A moment so profound that it cannot be ignored. A celebrity, someone whose voice echoes far beyond the ordinary, has just mentioned you in a private, secret meeting. They are making a plan and you are part of it. Pause for a moment and feel the weight of that realization. You were recognized without asking for it. You were acknowledged without seeking it. You were considered not because of your fame, not because of your network, not because of your title, but because of something far greater. Your potential, your resilience, your unique ability to rise when others fall. Influential people do not casually mention names. They do not draft strategies around someone they do not believe has power. Every word they speak carries intention. Every plan they make carries vision. And when your name emerges in such a room, it means something monumental. You are being seen. You are being positioned. And your life is about to intersect with opportunity in a way you may not yet understand. They are not planning to change you. They are planning to engage the version of you that has always existed but has yet to fully emerge. They see the spark inside you that refuses to be extinguished by setbacks. They see the courage you have quietly cultivated, the wisdom you have earned through experience, and the leadership that has been quietly waiting to take the stage. And now, that waiting is over. This plan they are making is not a mere idea. It is a call to action. It is an invitation to step into a future that is bigger than your current life. It is a reminder that the world has been watching, even in your quietest, most unseen moments. And now the world is asking you to rise intentionally. You may feel hesitant. You may wonder if you are ready. You may even question whether this recognition is real. But understand this: when those with influence call your name in a room filled with strategy, vision, and power, it is never by accident. They see in you the ability to shape outcomes, to inspire change, to lead with authenticity and integrity. They see what many people overlook, the part of you that is capable of more than you have dared to believe. And so the question is no longer whether you will be included in their plan. The question is, will you step into the person they already see? Will you embrace the responsibility, the opportunity, and the destiny that has been quietly waiting for you? Will you rise not for applause, not for recognition, but because it is the life you were meant to live? You were chosen. Not because you are perfect, but because you are capable. Not because you are loud, but because your presence is felt. Not because you sought it, but because you earned it through every challenge, every struggle, every quiet victory along the way. The door is open, the plan is in motion. And now the world waits not for someone else, but for you. Step forward, claim your place, embrace your purpose. You are no longer a name in a conversation. You are a force in a movement, and the moment has finally arrived.